Good morning, everyone. Today we're gonna cover the second part of the skeletal system. As we know that the bones have a blood supply and nerve supply. That's why we can sense them. We can sense each and every vein inside them. Okay? The bones are connected to each other through a tough and flexible strand that's called ligament. So the ligament is a tough strand that connects the bones with each other. Okay? And we also have at the end of the bones strong, flexible, smooth connective tissue, which is soft, that allow the bones to move smoothly without any friction between them. Okay? This type of smooth connective tissue and soft one is called cartilage. Okay, so now we have two definitions, the ligament and the cartilage. What is ligament? Ligament is the strand that holds the bones together, while the cartilage is the soft connective tissue that's found at the end of the bones to allow them to move smoothly. Okay? To know that we have also this cartilage, this smooth, flexible and soft connective tissue in our nose and our ears. Okay? Now we're gonna take how the bones looks like from outside and from inside. Okay. Have a look on this. This is a bone. The bone from outside is composed of a compact bone. Compact means strong. So the bone from the outside, from the surface, the outer surface of the bones, it's called compact bone, that makes the bone rigid and hard with no visible open spaces. There is no open spaces at the surface of the bone. While inside the bone itself, we have many open spaces in spongy bone. And this spongy bone, have a look here. Let's zoom. Yes, it's this one. Okay. This spongy bone, it's also provide more strength and support for the bone. So the rigidity and the hardness comes from the compact bone, and the spongy bone only provide more strength and more support for the bone. Okay? Okay. What is the composition of the bones? Mainly the bones are composed of three things. The first one is composed of minerals, and mostly the calcium. The calcium that comes from the calcium containing materials like the milk, like many things that contain the calcium. Okay? It's the main component in the bone. And when the calcium is deposited on the bone, this process is called osteoblast. So osteoblast means that the calcium will go to your bones and deposit on it. Okay? Okay. The second component in the bones are connective tissues, and they are mainly and mostly made up of a protein called collagen, and this collagen allows the flexibility of the bones. Okay? So again, the bones are composed first of minerals and mainly the calcium that makes the bone strong and hard. And second, they are made up of connective tissue that mostly having a protein called collagen, and this is allow bit flexibility for the bones. And the last thing that's composed of made the composition of the bone is the bone marrow. So the bone is composed of three things: the bone marrow, the calcium, the connective tissue, which is mainly collagen. Okay, let's now talk about the bone marrow. This bone marrow, we have two types of the marrow: red marrow and yellow marrow. The red marrow is found in the center of the flat bones, just like the rib. The ribs is an example of the flat bone, and the function of the red bone is to make red and white blood cells. So they made the blood cells. And the yellow marrow, they are found at the center of the long bones, such as the femur. The femur is the bone of your hip. It's long bone, okay? And its function is to store fat. So, two types of marrow: the red that makes the blood, and the yellow that store fat. The red is found in the flat bones, just like the ribs, it's flat, and the yellow is found at the long bones, which is like the hip, and it's not called the hip, it's called femur. Okay? Okay. Let's know how are the bones are connected to each other. We have joints. The joint is the place where two or more bones are connected together. These joints, we have fixed joint and movable joints. The fixed joints are the ones that are found in the skull, and they allow no movement between the bones. Okay? While the movable, they allow movement of the bones. They are not fixed, they are movable. Okay, let's take the examples of the movable joints. We have 3 examples. The first one is called ball and socket joint. The second one is called gliding joints. And the last one is called hinge joint. Okay? The first one, which is a ball and socket joint, it allows the bones to move and to rotate in a large circle, just like the joints that found in the shoulder and the hip. It can make a rotation in a large circle. Okay, and it has a shape of ball, that's why it's called ball and socket joint. The second type is called gliding joint, and this gliding joint is found in the wrist and the ankle, and they allow flexibility in many directions, as you can move your wrist and ankle up and down, right and left. So this gliding joint allows flexibility in many directions, not as the ball and socket that only rotate in a large circle. And the last one is called hinge joint, that allow you to move back and forth, and this is only found in the knee and the elbow. You could only move your elbow back and forth, and also your knee back and forth. Okay? Okay. The last thing inside this skeletal system, we're gonna study some injury and the disorders that can happen to this skeletal system. What could be happen to the skeletal system? Simply, the bones may be broken, right? Any breaks or any part that are broken inside the bone, they are called fracture. So fracture means that the bones are broken. Okay? We have also another disorder that's called sprain, and the sprain, this is an injury that happens to the ligament, and it's caused by stretching the joint too far. Okay? We know that the ligaments is the strand that connect the bones together. When we stretch the ligament too much, this is called injury, called sprain. Third, we have osteoporosis. What's osteoporosis? Osteoporosis happens when you have a low calcium supply in your diet. It's a disease that can cause bones to become very thin, and they become weak and fragile and can be broken easily. Okay? And this is actually happen to the old people. The last disease that can happen to the skeletal system is arthritis. And arthritis, it's a disease that causes the joints between the bones to be stiffened and swell and become very painful. So the joint shape become misshaped. It becomes swollen and painful. Okay? Okay, thank you so much guys, and I hope you enjoy the skeletal system.